Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Fed News August 13th edition, your fake figure wrestling news. So, one person had asked me like how the ranking system works, and so you've got basically WCW and WWF at the top tier. Then AEW is kind of its own universe, so it's kind of like secondary. Ring of Honor is below that because it's also more Jazzwares figures. And then you've got the four developmental brands: ECW, IWGP, NWA, and NXT. Those guys go up to either WCW or WWF if they get drafted. And then below that, you've got the UWF, the Impact AAA. This, of course, is like Elite Plus. This is just the Elite figures. Elite Plus is like double jointed arms, newer guys. These are the older style Elites, and then these are custom Elites. Preferably only older characters like Dutch Mantel and those kind of guys. And then you basically just got the World Wrestling Council, which is pretty much everything else. The Jax Deluxe. I don't really have any Ruthless Aggression anymore, but I do have those figure toy company figures, as well as like one-offs and random people. You got the Jushin Thunder Liger one from that Storm Collectibles. There's only 3 people in that whole brand, so that's how the ranking system works. So I did update a little bit there on this thing as well. But in talks right now to be in the ultimate pool would be Jim Brunzell, Brian Blair, Steve Armstrong, and Billy Jack Haynes. Just signed, however, was Nathan Jones and Snitsky. And WCW World War III is coming soon. Now it's going to be 20 people from the WCW roster exclusively, plus 10 from each development brand to kind of give it, an interesting thing. And there's no, the only prize really is the winner could be guaranteed a contract with WCW if it's from a different brand, or a world title shot if they're already in the WCW brand. So here's the WWF champions, and this week kicks off with actually a title, well, not a title match, but in the main event will be a title match. But Simon Dean and Jake Gemini defeat Grayson Waller and Austin Theory by pinfall. Funaki defeats Sylvain Grenier, remaining undefeated actually, surprisingly. Hulk Hogan defeats Finlay by pinfall, so it will be Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan for the title at the next pay-per-view. The Redragons and Arn Anderson and Ric Flair ended a time limit draw. In the main event, we see Eddie Guerrero defeat CM Punk, Val Venis, and Cassius Ohno by pinfall to become the inaugural Intercontinental Champion. Over on Heat, though, Kevin Thorne defeats Fandango. Jamie Noble and Jesse Gemini defeats Tully Blanchard and Barry Windham by pinfall. In the main event, we see Juventud Guerrera defeat Nunzio to retain his light heavyweight title. There's the WCW champions, and this week, of course, Kenzo Suzuki and the Great Muta defeat the Nasty Boys by pinfall. Daniel Bryan defeats Big Boss Man by pinfall. Spirit Squad defeats Kurt Angle, Luther Reigns, and Mark Jindrak by pinfall. Rhino defeats Michael Tarver by pinfall. And Brock Lesnar actually would defeat Bill Goldberg to be inserted into a triple threat now for the WCW Championship at the next pay-per-view. Thunder, however, Buff Bagwell continues undefeated streak. Rich Swann defeats Bull Buchanan to win the WCW Hardcore Championship. And Ateo Tommy defeats X-Pac to retain the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. NXT, however, this week had its first pay-per-view as Stevie Ray defeats Jun Wang Yang by pinfall. Paul London defeats Billy Kidman and Alex Shelley by pinfall, a triple threat to become the NXT Cruiserweight Champion. Primetime Players defeated Demolition and the Bashams by pinfall to win the NXT Tag Titles. Gorilla Monsoon defeats Crush and Chris Candido by pinfall to win the NXT North American Championship. In the main event, we see Karrion Kross defeat Chris Sabin in a rematch from last time they fought by submission to win the NXT Championship. Over to ECW now this week, and no pay-per-view, but they did have a show as the Steiners defeated the Hollies by submission. Matt Riddle defeats Moose by pinfall, and Sean O'Haire defeats Wildman Mark Merrow by pinfall. The NWA this week had no show. IWGP is getting ready to launch its first show, but no show this week. AEW did have some titles on a regular show as SCU defeats the Acclaim by submission. Adam Page and Kenny Omega defeat Lucha Bros and actually win the AEW Tag Team titles. They did not defend them at the pay-per-view. Ricky Starks defeat Dustin Rhodes by pinfall. Wardlow actually defeats Swerve Scott for the TNT Championship after retaining his FTW Championship at the pay-per-view. In the main event, we see MJF defeat Darby Allin by submission. Ring of Honor had no show this week. AAA also had no show this week. Impact has been rebranded. As you can see, Andrade took the Impact title and the X Division title from the previous brand and left with them. But no show this week for them as well. The UWF did have a show this week as Pez Watley defeats Lance Von Erich by pinfall. The Italian Stallion defeats Salvatore Bellomo by submission. And the main event was Dr. David Schultz defeat Brian Addis by pinfall. That's all for this week. Stay tuned and check back as we lead towards the next 2 pay-per-views with WCW approaching closely, along with WWF right behind it. Till next time.